What's going on YouTube? So the Subaru brand has been experiencing tremendous sales growth over the last decade. However, there is an increasingly large blind spot in their lineup for this environmentally conscious brand, hybrid models. Well, that is over now with this all-new Subaru Forester Hybrid, a model that not only increases fuel economy to a whole new level, but also increases power and technology as well. So we want to know, is this the best new Subaru you can buy? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, like always, let's go ahead and get things started with our spec dump. The hybrid version of this Forester comes with a 2.5-liter boxer 4-cylinder engine paired with 2 electric motors. The combined system horsepower on this is 194. This is paired to an eCVT. You have full-time symmetrical all-wheel drive, and in terms of our fuel economy, we're looking at 35 mpg combined.
Now, the base price for the Forester Hybrid is just a hair under $35,000. And if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price and access to invoice pricing information.
Now, later on, we'll get into some more details about this powertrain, but for now, let's close up the hood and take a look at the exterior as well as the interior. Now, as far as the exterior design is concerned of this new Forester Hybrid, this Forester was just redesigned last year, and they're not really changing much in terms of the overall look for the hybrid model. They wanted to kind of keep it more conventional overall. Now, in terms of your trim levels that this is offered, it's going to have all the available trims except for the base model. So this is going to begin at the premium model. And what we have today is the top-end touring example. In the front, you're going to notice the grille is going to be finished in a nice gloss black for this example. You've got this thin silver accent that runs across the top there, and of course your Subaru branding prominently right there in the middle. The overall cladding of the front is not too large at all, just a little bit subtle down here at the bottom. As far as the lighting is concerned, we have premium full LED headlights, standard actually on all trim levels, and these are adaptive LEDs as well, which is certainly quite remarkable for this segment. Of course, you got your turn signal and daytime running light up there at the top. And then down below, we have our LED fog lights as well. Now, as far as ground clearance is concerned, this retains the exact same ground clearance as other Forester models at 8.7 inches. And in terms of our wheels, they are mostly the same size as well, beginning at 17-inch alloys and moving up to 19-inch alloys. However, the designs are going to be slightly different for the hybrid. That's going to be one of the ways that you can know this is a hybrid model, including here on the touring example with the contrast alloy wheels. You have kind of squared off wheel arches, again with a little bit more modest cladding than some of the other Subaru products. And then this right here is one of your key distinguishing features of the design, of course. It actually just says hybrid right there. Up top, we've got a nice gloss black finish on our mirrors. And in terms of the actual technology, heating and blind spot monitoring will be standard on all hybrids. Auto dimming is an additional option.
Now, at the side of the Forester Hybrid, the overall vehicle length is 183.3 inches. Of course, that's the same as any other Forester. However, what's not the same as any other Forester is the overall design. As you can see, we have a black two-tone painted roof. That is going to be an exclusive option offered here on the Forester Hybrid Touring. So you do have to select that top-end model. However, I think it really spices up the overall design and makes this Forester look quite a bit better. Now, I do also want to point out that they are offering an exclusive hybrid color. It's called Daybreak Blue Pearl. That actually is a very cool color. We'll insert it on the screen right now. We just have the really nice green looking model today. Now, as far as the rear design is concerned, really nothing is changing here for hybrid duty. So it's going to be your typical Forester design. We have a spoiler up top. We do have a wiper, which is going to be integrated right there. And then across the back, we have some black trim through here, Forester stamped into the tailgate itself. And then as far as the tail lights themselves, they're going to be a full LED setup for most of the components. As you can see, we do have an LED brake light, LED reverse light. However, our turn signal is going to remain incandescent. As we drop down to the lower fascia, this is going to be a lot of matte black plastic. We do actually retain the exhaust outlet here on the right side, even for hybrid duty. And speaking of the hybrid capabilities, both the gas model and the hybrid can tow 1,500 pounds. The new Wilderness will up that tow capacity, though. Now let's talk about safety systems for the Forester. Of course, that's a very important part of any Subaru, and they are including every single one of your active safety features as standard equipment. Now, when it comes to the hybrid model specifically, you do get a little bit more equipment on some of the trim levels, including the Sport. So from Sport Hybrid up, you are going to have things like rear auto braking, which is something that is only included on the highest end gasoline models. But guys, let's go ahead and check out the inside because there are some tech updates. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now, even as beautiful as these surroundings are, we're gonna have to go ahead and get inside the vehicle here. There's some stuff that we definitely wanna show you guys. First, of course, we'll take a look at the key fob. Typical Subaru key fob. You have standard smart entry on the hybrid models. You have remote startability via the Starlink application. And then to get inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. Now, taking a look at the interior. Obviously, we have the latest and greatest Subaru technology and design. We'll get into what is the newest tech in just a little bit, but first I want to start by talking about the seats. This is actually an area where the hybrid model differentiates from the traditional gas Forester because they've kind of rearranged the materials. They wanted to offer the hybrid models more leather-free interior selection. So actually every single trim on the hybrid, except for the Touring, will come with either cloth or their StarTex leatherette. That's a little bit different than what you get on the gas. Nevertheless, if you choose the Touring, you are going to get the genuine leather. As you can see, very nice looking seat with a lot of perforation running throughout. You have the suede inserts that go down the bolsters. This is the traditional black option. If you want something maybe a little bit richer looking, they also offer a brown interior choice. All hybrids will also come with the 10-way power adjusting seats and lumbar support. And you also get more hybrid models with memory seats. This is going to begin on the Sport trim level and above. But let's go ahead and climb on inside. And now that we're inside here, let's go ahead and feel around on the rest of the cabin materials here for the Touring trim level. So we've got a nice leatherette running across here with padding. It's going to have the suede insert through the center section and more of that leatherette through there. Soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is going to be finished in a soft touch plastic. The center section has a nice textured leatherette with a stitching detail. We have a kind of brushed aluminum looking trim through there, some piano black accents throughout, and more padding along the console for our knee to rest against. Everything in here does feel very solid. And let's fire it up with the push button start. Now, if you spent time in a Subaru or you've seen any of our recent Subaru reviews, you might notice right from the start what big change is different for this hybrid Forester, and that is at the gauge cluster. So in terms of the tech, this is our first time with a digital cluster in a Subaru model, a 12.3-inch full digital cluster. This is standard actually on every single hybrid model. And one of the cool things, of course, when you have a full digital cluster is that it's reconfigurable. So unlike the analog gauges, if I hold down this button on the steering wheel, I can do things like pull up a full screen map view. I can also make the priority information my eyesight safety systems and cruise control, or I can just go for the more traditional gauge cluster look. No head-up display is going to be available on this Forester. And then as we pull back to the steering wheel, you got the nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. Rain-sensing wipers will be included here on the Touring trim level, and the Touring hybrid also gets the heated steering wheel. Of course, the wheel itself is manual, tilt, and telescoping. And then let's take a look at interior storage. So one of the nice things is that the hybrid doesn't compromise the storage inside of this vehicle at all. So you still got this nice and large center console. We look forward to putting that to the full donut test once we get this back home in Kentucky, but we're here in California today. We aren't able to bring all those donuts with us. We also have your two cup holders right there behind the shifter. And then up in front of that, we've got a nice wireless phone charging pad, which is standard on the vast majority of models. Now, as far as the shifter is concerned, unlike a lot of rivals, we don't have any like electronic style or push button. It's just a traditional style one. Pull back for drive. You can bump over here to the left if you want to activate a manual shift mode for simulated gear changes. And then when we head into reverse, you can check out the backup camera. So as you can see, we've got the traditional view pulled up right now. Then if I press the button down here behind the shifter, I can go ahead and go into our 360 view, because the Touring model does come with a nice 360-degree camera system, which is of course helpful for parking, and you can even check that out off-road. And there's our split view where both of them are pulled up simultaneously with the parking sensors below, although obviously the shape of the screen kind of makes that look a little bit odd. Then of course behind that you've got your electronic parking brake as well. Now, as we move up into this area, this is going to be familiar to a lot of Subaru owners because it is pretty much the same across their lineup. We've got the large 11-inch display. This is standard on every single hybrid since there is no base model for the hybrid version. And inside of it's going to contain a lot of different information. So first of all, in the bottom section there, you've got your dual zone automatic climate control. That's standard on all models. And you can adjust that inside the screen itself, or you can use, for the main things, the physical buttons off to the side. Now, one thing you'll notice is, of course, you've got your heated seats button. That is standard on all models. And then we have the ventilated seats. That's going to be on just the Touring trim level. And there are some of the rivals that don't offer that at all. So it's nice to see that. Also physically rendered is a big old volume and tune knob on the outside edges. Let's go ahead and give a sample to the audio system. This is an 11-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, and when you're talking about the hybrid model, they actually make this available on more trims, so this will become standard on the sport trim level and above. Yeah, so just like we've said with previous versions, or times that we tested out the Forester, I should say, this sound system is really good for this segment. This is one of my favorite sound systems in this class of vehicle. It really fills up the cabin nicely, and it's a good balanced type of sound to it. Okay, now returning back to the main display, this is a place where there's not really any main changes from other Subaru models. It's still their Starlink infotainment system, so you have kind of some shortcuts along the top with a little bit of information. And then you've got your main applications living through here. The system itself is certainly on the slower side of things, but it does have the features that you're looking for, such as wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, standard across the board. We also have the integrated navigation system as well. And some of your most used features, like brake hold, are going to be down there at the bottom. And then you also have some shortcuts to your vehicle settings. Up top, you're going to have an auto-dimming mirror. This is optional on most models. However, if you get the Touring, you've got the smart camera rearview mirror, which cuts out all the obstructions. And then, of course, one of the signature Forester elements that is really something a lot of owners appreciate is the fact that Subaru gives you this very large panoramic style sunroof as standard on all the hybrid models. And as you can see, this goes back a long ways, gives you a lot of open air experience.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the rear seat area when it comes to the Forester Hybrid. Of course, things back here are going to be pretty much like any other Forester. So when it comes to space, you're going to be very, pleasantly surprised. It has a lot of it. So we're sitting at about 39.4 inches of legroom, 39.6 inches of headroom. Do be aware that, the moonroof does cut into that headroom just a little bit. But overall, for someone who is normal size like myself, I'm 5'9" for reference, there is plenty of space. Now, one of the things we do in all of our Car Confections reviews is bring along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason we do that is because we want to see how much knee room we have behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. We're looking at over 8 inches of knee space. That is very good. Like I said, I'm 5'9" for reference, so adults will even have plenty of space back here. My feet can also slide up underneath of the seat, and the seat does also have the ability to recline a little bit, as you can see right there. Now, as far as the features are concerned, we do have some cup holders in this fold-down armrest, nice piano black around it. And then we're not done yet because we do have VINs here in the center section. That's going to be a nice standard feature here on the Forester. 2 USB ports, a C and an A variety, and heated back seats if you choose that new, the Forester Hybrid Touring. So that's something that some of the rivals, including the Honda CR-V, are not including. Now, if you look over at the door trim itself, it is going to be a little bit cheaper than the front, so the upper part is going to be a hard touch plastic. However, the rest of it's quite nice. We have some more of that suede, a little bit more of that leatherette, a decently padded armrest portion, and then we also have some bottle storage as well. Now let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space as well. Now, one of the things that is nice about the hybrid model specifically is the fact that you are going to get a hands-free power tailgate standard across the entire board. So that's some of the equipment that kind of drops down for the higher end gas models. You're actually going to get the standard equipment here on the hybrid, so I certainly like that. Now, let's also talk about space, because I'm sure you're very curious about that. Does the hybrid really impact the overall cargo space? And I'm very happy to tell you the answer is no. This Forester hybrid is still going to have 27.5 cubic feet behind the second row and a maximum of 69 cubic feet of cargo capacity. So opting for the hybrid does not reduce your practicality. Also, on the sides, you will notice these little toggles. That's going to allow you to electronically fold the seats down. And as you can see, they do fold completely flat with the loading floor to give you that full 69 cubic feet of cargo capacity. Now, if you're curious as to how this may rank among the numerous compact SUVs that you could be cross-shopping this with, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, the reason you do that is because we've actually gone through and looked at all of these compact SUVs and ranked them in individual categories that might matter most to you as a compact SUV shopper, such as cargo space, practicality, luxury features, powertrain options, reliability, resale value. Those types of things are all broken down, so you can see what might be the most important things to you and what might be the best options for you. So definitely take advantage of that. It's a very large segment, and you can see some of your best choices. Now, moving on to the Forester itself, just like I said, 60/40 split folding seats, completely flat with the loading floor. Additionally, it's a Car Confections review, so let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. As far as cargo length, behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we are sitting at 74 inches of length. That's pretty good for this segment. From behind the second row, about 30 inches of length. Overall cargo opening, 47 inches wide. Overall height, that's very good though. It's 32 inches tall. Let's get the cargo load-in height as well. That's actually quite good as well, 29 inches tall. And then if we lift up the cargo floor, you will find just a little bit of extra space under here, but you won't find a spare tire because that unfortunately cannot be paired with the hybrid model. So, the battery pack has to go somewhere. They did not impede on your cargo space, but you're not going to have a spare tire for the hybrid.
And let's go ahead and talk a little bit more in detail about what's under the hood of this Forester hybrid. Now, you might have heard the news that Subaru and Toyota were kind of working together on this hybrid system, but unlike the hybrid system they developed with Mazda, this is actually completely different from Toyota's system. There's just very few shared components overall. Now, what exactly are we looking at as different? Well, first of all, the engine is different. This is a 2.5 liter boxer engine like other Subaru models. This can be paired with 2 electric motors on this model, and that together is importantly going to be routed to the ground via a symmetrical all-wheel drive. So unlike Toyota, which is using a third electric motor to power the rear wheels and create all-wheel drive, this has the full-time all-wheel drive system, just like the regular Forester model, which of course is critical if you want to maintain that off-road capability that Subaru is known for. Now, as far as the transmission, this is an eCVT. And then our combined fuel economy on this model comes in at 35 mpg. So it's 35 city, 34 highway, 35 combined. That's about 20% improvement over the traditional gas model. Just be aware that it is going to be a little less than some of your main rivals. That's going to be down 4 mpg combined compared to a RAV4 hybrid, for example, and the CX-50 hybrid, 3 mpg combined. Now, of course, we were talking about off-road capability as well as all the usual affair of things, which we plan to put to the test as soon as we possibly can. However, there is a driving impressions embargo on this model until the date you see down below. This is our first time being with this Forester Hybrid out here in the daylight. As you can see, a beautiful surrounding area here. And we just wanted to share with you guys all the details that we do know about this model, but we're gonna have to hold on to those driving impressions for a little while longer. So make sure you come back to the date down below and check out all the detailed driving impressions where we get to check out some off-road capability, as well as, of course, the traditional street-related items.
So let's go ahead and talk about pricing for this Forester Hybrid. That's of course a very key element of this video. How much extra is it going to cost? Thankfully, it's not too bad. It's going to be about $1,400, but of course it does vary depending on what trim level you select. Your starting price is a bit higher because you do not have that very base model, so we're just a hair under $35,000 for the premium hybrid model. Now the Sport is going to be $37,995. That sees a bit of a price increase just because you're going to get a lot more equipment, including that Harman Kardon audio system. The Limited $39,410, and this Touring $41,695. Now, if you want one as tested today, we are sitting after the optional paint and destination around the $43,000 mark, which is very much in line, if not a little bit less than a lot of the main rivals. Now, if you're looking to buy a Subaru Forester Hybrid or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation and can help the dealers to really start competing on price. We even have a monthly payment tool if you'd like to check that out. And once again, you can find that link in our video description as well as in a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a vehicle is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Subaru Forester's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 63% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 23.7%. Now, it's worth noting those are very good resale value percentages. It's actually in the top 3 for all vehicle brands. That's very impressive. It's only behind Toyota and Honda. So really, really good stuff when it comes to resale value.
Now, Subaru also performs well when it comes to reliability. We developed the Combined Reliability Index to take into account several studies that are trustworthy on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you the holistic picture. In this regard, Subaru is one of the top performing brands, as I just said.
Yeah, and it is updated with the latest 2025 data. Now, if you'd like to learn more about our reliability information, our resale data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Lastly, when it comes to your warranty, it is going to be a 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty, 5-year 60 powertrain. Subaru does not do complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the all-new 2025 Subaru Forester Hybrid. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we surely hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We cover a lot of cool cars in this channel, including a lot of mainstream vehicles that you may be looking to purchase, like this Forester Hybrid. If you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.